You are listening to Insights with Kathleen. Please join me while I share my insights and experiences with the hope to inspire you to look inside of yourself for the answers that you already have. As with all information we receive, take what speaks to you and leave the rest. Well, welcome back to another Insights with Kathleen.
What up, guys?
Yeah. Hey, Sherry, how's it going today?
I'm having a time.
Oh,
Not a bad time. It's like one of transition. I think we've talked about it a little bit on the show.
yeah, we've talked about transitions, but there's so many kinds.
Right. Like we've lightly touched, and you're right. There's so many different types of transitions. And I guess for me, different aspects of my life are changing. And this one caught me very off guard. So, for me personally, just going through this change of just like relationships, right?
Mhm.
Just like with different people. And, I've been, just trying to, cut out like, negative vibrations that don't vibe with me anymore. And I've been feeling better. But there's just, a one friendship I have that I'm just kind of like feeling bad about ending or, not seeing so much of this person because I feel bad because I'm already cutting out all these relationships and I feel kind of like guilty. So I kind of hold on, but I know I shouldn't.
Wow, it feels heavy in here.
It's quite heavy in here. And I guess somewhere in me is like, oh, I probably should let it go. But I just feel that guilt and attachment to this particular person.
Well, and it's totally understandable. But what if we were to reframe it a little bit for you?
All right, let's do that.
Okay. So see if this helps you a little bit.
Okay.
So instead of saying that you're getting rid of or you're ending, right? How about you're just allowing it to fall away?
Ah, okay.
Because we're able to put it into words to say that, hey, I'm just not vibrating with this person, right?
Right.
Or at the same like in different places, different levels, right? So other people who maybe don't necessarily use the language that we're using here, they may see it as, well, this person just isn't getting me anymore. This person and we've grown apart.
Right.
Or, there's many different ways that we can see that transpiring, right?
Right.
And I know that you've shared with me too in the past that there are a lot, you feel like there's a lot of people just leaving your world right now.
Right.
Not leaving the world, but leaving Sherry's world.
So morbid.
I just wanted to clarify because I wasn't sure how that came out.
not the world, people. They're alive and well, which is great.
Amen. But when you are going through these transitions, when you're growing into who you are, who you be, as you stand more firmly in the power of you,
right,
then yes, the world around you is going to change.
Right.
All of a sudden, something's just not going to feel quite right, or that flavor that person may have left in your mouth before is just not tasting so great now.
Right.
So there's really nothing to feel guilty about. You bless them because your time together is just it's over. It's just like nature. Nature's constantly cycling, right? We go through the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter, and we just have this constant cycling of life and death. The circle of life, right? Hey, watch. No, I'm kidding.
The Lion King.
Circle of life.
Full circle. It's sponsored. Sorry, Disney.
Excuse me, but I just gotta breathe here for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry. You got me so excited with the circle of life and Disney. I just got so sidelined there. The thing is, it's just what I'm trying to say is it's just a natural course of things.
Right.
And don't judge it. Try not to judge it. Just bless the people that are leaving. Be grateful and thankful because they did impart a gift on you just like you did on them.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't always feel like it's a gift because if it's something that you really had to, that maybe it was hard to look at or see in yourself.
Right.
Or something to reconcile even just with inside yourself. Sometimes it kind of feels like, oh man, that was like, oh, good riddance,
Right.
But there's still something there to be grateful for.
Right.
Because that other person may have bubbled something up inside of you to look at and examine that's you. Right. And do you want to carry this around? Do you want to release that?
No, I want to release that.
Yeah, but it gives you that opportunity because even though that this person maybe a person in your life may be just on a different plane, a different journey, not resonating with you at all because maybe they're just not growing at the speed that you're growing.
Right.
And that could just have this like level of disparity, or not, I don't know if disparity is the right word, but just this in equilibrium kind of a feel to it. Oh, that's a good
one. I like that.
And instead of becoming bitter and resentful, then that's where you bless it and you let it go.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I'm kind of, just that's happened to me before with people where, if I like hold on to it and it's not serving me, or it's not good for the both of us, I like hold on to it and then I just get mad and then I just get bitter, and I don't want to harbor those feelings towards anybody, really. So you just have to let it go. I guess for me, I guess I have this weird anxiety about like not really letting people go, but them attaching themselves to me, because that's happened to me before, where I've been like, you know what, I feel like, we part ways, like it's just not resonating, or we both realize it, but then once I try to like exit, they're just like, no, tell me a couple specific reasons why, and I'm like, I just don't feel it anymore. And I guess like that being cornered in that way makes me anxious.
Well, sure. Because you're a beautiful person. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Right. And I think because and I know that you're growing out of this, but your previous behavior is more that tendency to want to people please. And there's a lot of us out there, right?
Yeah.
That we want to bring joy into the world, and sometimes we feel like that means sacrificing ourselves, right? And then if you couple that along with the programming that organized religion may give, and there's nothing wrong with organized religion, I just want you to know that, but sometimes there's a level of programming that where we talk about sacrifice, and then self-sacrifice. Well, you know what, that could be a whole program in and of itself. Like program meaning like we could have a whole different conversation around what sacrifices.
Episode, guys. Yeah. Look out next week, maybe.
Because it's beautiful when we can sacrifice. Like maybe I only have like this small portion of food to feed me and my family, but then there's this other family who has zero.
Right.
Then I can sacrifice my food to help them.
Right.
So I may not be quite as full. And that's a good sacrifice because we don't want someone else to starve, right? But to sacrifice myself, like my mental and emotional well-being, that doesn't serve anyone. It's kind of like being on an airplane and the oxygen masks fall.
Right. Save yourselves, babies.
Well, you put that mask on yourself first, so then you can save someone else.
I love that analogy, because I've heard you say it and I've heard other people say it, and for the longest time I was just like, because programming, that's just how my family was. It's like, no, you have to close off your bag. You have to give everything to everyone. And I guess I would be so depleted and just so bitter and angry about it, because I'm just like, now I don't even have time to be me or do any of my things or just have some peace of mind. So I think that's super important what you're saying.
Right. So it's about setting those boundaries, those healthy boundaries, and we've talked about those, right, in different episodes here.
Right.
And part of setting that healthy, loving boundary of yourself helps to release. So if you do have like there's a person in your life you're letting go of, and I know that the example you were giving me, that's from something past that's already happened.
Right.
And letting go of that guilt. I don't know if I could say this. Wait a minute. Hang on.
You got this. You got this, girl. I believe in you. I love you.
Thank you very much. It's about, I think it's about the feeling that's inside of you, being secure in you and knowing that this is loving of me. And in essence, it really is loving of them.
Right.
Because you're saving them from a certain level of suffering. Okay, so this is coming to my mind, and I don't know if this example is really going to be helpful to this story to really share what it is I'm trying to say, and I'm not really saying it.
I love this. Yes, go for it.
So when I was married, my ex-husband was going through some really bad stuff, like bad to him. Mm-hmm. It was very life challenging, life changing.
Right.
And I was frustrated because he wasn't even showing up for himself.
Right.
And it got to a point to where I really wanted to beat the crap out of him.
I'm just angry.
I really just, and I felt myself shifting to this person who just really wanted to abuse him.
Oh no.
So I went, so it's almost like a full circle, right? It's as a younger version of me, I was abused.
Right.
And then I got healthy.
Right.
And now I'm in this marriage and this person's not even showing up for himself, and then I'm feeling resentful and I'm feeling angry and I'm feeling frustrated, and all I want to do is beat him up, beat him into submission. Get your life together,
damn it.
In the meantime, like I'm like holding down a household and I'm toting 2 kids. I'm like toddlers,
right?
Because they are Irish babies.
Oh,
Irish twins, excuse me, Irish little twins.
Oh, I was
18 months apart.
Irish babies. Okay.
Anyway, so I recognized inside myself that, one, this is not the person I want to be. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
So I had to take a breath, and then I had to step back, and I'd say, okay, I need to take care of me because I don't want to be here. And what's that first step? What is the loving thing of me to do? I need to separate.
Right.
And is this loving of me and him? Oh, for sure.
Yes.
Because I was not serving him well at all.
Right.
Meaning that my personality and who I am and my assuredness was just too overwhelming for him. So the most loving thing that I could ever do was to let him go. And I really had to push him out because he went kicking and screaming. Okay? So I'm being a little dramatic here, but it's kind of along those lines. So I was kind of the bad guy to some extent in his eyes, but I knew in my heart I was doing the right thing for all people involved, especially him, because he really wasn't even living life.
Right.
He was relying too much on me to do things for him.
Right.
So if I didn't stand up for me, I could be in prison right now for killing him. Okay?
And you're like, we wouldn't have this podcast.
That's right.
It would be bad.
Or we would be hearing lots of prison noise behind me. No, I'm just kidding.
In touch with Kathleen after hours.
So by being loving of myself, setting that healthy boundary to say, okay, enough is enough.
Right.
Being loving of him to say, listen, he needs out of this.
Right.
So letting that go and just making that happen, that was me putting the oxygen mask on me first.
Smart.
So then I can help him. Right?
Yeah.
And then help the rest of my family in essence. And it's funny because he did become his own human again.
Nice.
Right? And he rejoined life to the capacity in which he could, but he did rejoin it. So yes, we may get some of those squawks from people as we're transitioning away from them. We may feel their resistance because they don't want to let go, because they feel that there's something more that they're getting from us. Right? But that's a sign of codependency too.
Right. That is, I'll be fully candid with you guys. That's actually something I didn't notice that I struggled with this until, just about like not too long ago, about like, codependent relationships and like how they form and how that happens. And, I don't know where I was going with this, but I've noticed that's a pattern. And I guess the biggest thing that would keep me in there was guilt, because they're like, oh, Sherry, you're so great, or you're so this. And I guess I would put it upon myself like, oh no, I feel bad. If I leave, what's going to happen to them?
Yeah. So it's kind of like that savior complex, right? Like if I leave, they're just going to fall apart and they won't be able to live, and how would they even function? Oh my goodness, I could see that they have these injuries and I just want to heal them. I want to help them. I want to help them along. Oh my, but really, if I walk away, they're just going to die. Well, I got news for you.
Nobody died on my watch yet.
No.
And I guess that's like, that even like I hear this actually from so many people, like, when they're in relationships that are not healthy or something like that, they're like, oh, well, if I leave, then how are they? And I can attest, I've definitely done that. I've had a relationship in the past with like a friend in like high school, and it was highly like toxic. And I'm like, I know, but she has all these problems and she comes from a bad family and blah, blah, blah. Like I can't leave, until one day I was like, I need to leave. So I guess like reinforcing that just even to like even a smaller degree is something that I'm trying to work on.
Yeah. And then this is what helps me too, is, you hear us talk about experiment, right? This is their experiment.
Right.
Right. Their experience, their experiment. And it's kind of like the same thing. Like even my ex-husband, that was his experiment.
Right.
And I really believe at that point in time, our contract was done. We were done because he took the experiment in a different direction that I really just, my free will was not willing to go. Right. I did not want that experiment or that experience anymore. So, because that wasn't loving of me. And by taking that separate direction, he figured out his experiment and it went on. Right. So for people who are victimizing themselves, because that's really what it is. It's a choice.
Right.
We get to choose how we're going to show up.
Right.
It doesn't matter how rough and tough our circumstances are. I mean, like we hear about prisoners. I know we were making jokes about that earlier, but we do hear of prisoners in prison who, by their mental state, they realize that even though they're physically locked up, their mind could go places.
Right.
And they're only as locked up as they believe themselves to be.
Right.
And it's the same thing that like when we are in these relational kind of situations.
Right.
Right. We're the ones who imprison ourselves.
Oh,
we
yeah.
give that power away to the other person. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So even for you, like, oh my goodness, if I go away, this person's going to fall apart. So you just gave your power away to them.
Right. Right.
So now you became their prisoner.
Right. Right.
How does that feel?
Not so good, Kathleen. Not so good. It's just, then it's bad.
Right.
Right.
But doesn't it feel better to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to give them space to have their experiment because that doesn't line up with my experiment.
Right.
And I'm blessing them and I'm thanking them for that opportunity to help me, to help build this desire inside of me to know that that's not my experiment. My experiment's over here.
Right.
Which is opposite from where they are.
And no, I totally agree. And I guess one thing I would add is something that I do notice about myself, and maybe this happens to other people, when you are in a codependent relationship, or you're just, you're in a codependent relationship either with a person, with a job, with a project, with something else, you lose part of yourself. I know for me, I talked about this maybe a while back on this podcast about how my identity was my own podcast that I did. And, or I had my identity through a relationship or with these particular friends. And it's so easy to lose yourself in that. And, how do you how do you not do that?
And that comes back to your self-worth,
right?
And is this a program that's something to sit in, to sit down and pray on, or to meditate on, and just to say, okay, am I running a program inside of me that says that I have no worth unless I have this? I have no worth unless I have this kind of job, or I'm this in this job, or I have a podcast. How about I am worthy of just being me? I don't need anything else attached to me. Hey, I'm Kathleen and I'm making no excuses, man. I am worthy of just being me. And it doesn't matter what I do for a living or how I make my money because that doesn't define me.
Snaps and claps. I love that. I love that. That's just so freeing. And I think I just woke up to that, because before I used to be like, I'm Sherry and I have a podcast, or I'm Sherry and I write music, and I've just written that script for myself. And I guess when people meet me, they're like, oh, I could see an entertainment. So I guess I put that on myself as that's what I am. That's what people see me as. So that's all that I am.
Yeah. And it's the same thing like in the dating world, right? So when we go out to date and you're, hey, I am Kathleen.
Nice to meet you.
And I do this for a living.
Firm handshake.
Oh, thank you. And I didn't even give you my real handshake. But
all right, give me another one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I have to soak that hand now because it hurts. No, I'm kidding. But, and then one of the first questions that we may ask somebody that we're just meeting, whether it's like a dating thing or just in general, oh, so what do you do for a living? Nothing. Next. Right? So, I mean, but I mean, we do that. We do. That's like, so, hey, I'm Kathleen, and you know what? I love to sleep in on the weekends. That's cute. I like this. I like that kind of stuff. And I was even talking to some of my classmates about how the way some of the dating apps are working now is either some of them use music algorithms to match people, or they just use like little stories, like little short videos of someone. But you're right. Like a lot of times people will be like, where do you work?
like just like those things.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, right?
Right.
Oh, I'm going to qualify you on where you work,
Done.
what you do, how much money you make.
And people wonder why they're just like, whatever.
Hello.
Yeah.
How about can we qualify a person by how open their heart is?
Right.
How honest they are, how caring, how loving of themselves, and how generous and loving they are of others.
Yeah, it's never like, what do you think is your best attribute? And fun fact, guys, on my dating app, when I did have one, I think one of them was like, money back guarantee if I can't make you laugh. You know?
Nice.
Something to that extent, and just like a lot of quirky stuff. So I didn't really even have to write where I work, this, that, and the other thing, but like I just put more of like personality. So you could even be like, oh, what's your favorite attribute about yourself? That's more telling than where you work, honestly.
Right. So, but going back to what you were saying though too, right?
Right.
That guilt part, and that just, it really does speak to about how sensitive you are, because you don't want to hurt anyone.
Right.
But it's also, I think we need to have more of that compassion towards ourselves.
Right.
Right. And be there for us to say, you know what, this is okay, because this is a gift I'm giving them.
Right.
If they can, by me letting go of them, I'm helping them to let go of me, so they can go out and journey and have other experiences.
I like the twist on that, because I guess before I was just like, oh, I'm just cutting people off and I feel bad. But it's just kind of like, no, you're releasing them because they're going to grow more, because
Doesn't that feel much better?
It does feel a lot better, because before I was just like, oh, I feel bad. But now it's just like, no, I'm doing a disservice making them stay in this place.
Hanging on.
Right. Hanging on.
Yeah.
No, I love that spin on that. That makes me so happy.
All right. So you feel good about that?
I do feel good about that.
Cherry, once again, I just have to say thank you so much for bringing this up, because I know that that's not easy.
Yeah.
And I think that almost all of us, if we're not right now at some point in our lives, we've had this experience.
Right.
And struggled with it.
Right.
And trying to just feel good about ourselves and still feel like, we're being decent people to others. So thank you.
Oh, of course. I'm glad, I'm glad this situation arose, because I would hear other people talking about it, and I'm like, I didn't personally get it at first, but then it started happening to me, and I'm like, I wish someone could talk about this. I wish someone could, give us some insights with Kathleen.
Well, thank you. I cannot do these insights without you.
I try.
All right. Well, thank you again for listening. You guys have a great night. Thank you for tuning in. Remember that you are bigger than anything that you are going through or anything that is happening around you.